Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, your number one stop for all things in the world of golf. Watch and subscribe anywhere you get your favorite shows on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, Google, and more. Just search Get in the Hole. Get in the Hole is the official golf pod of the Underground Sports Philadelphia family of podcasts. Now let's get right into the action. Here's your hosts, Steve McAvoy and Ben Pirro.
Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
So I didn't get to acknowledge it much last week, and I wanted to go more into it, but because we were so enveloped in the Ryder Cup, I wanted to take this moment now to finally give you your flowers a little bit more in depth and talk about how you played in your pre-qualifying for Q School. It's been now, 2 weeks, and you've gotten, yes, Ben, the smirk on your face is like a very scary sight.
I'm just soaking in the moment. Continue.
So wanted to chat quickly about like the process, how you handled it, what adversity you noticed in your pre-Q. Obviously, we had gone through like the guys and the competition like gap. And I think we discussed more about that in terms of the first stage, which you're going to Texas now at the middle of the month.
Yes, sir.
Rolls around. We'll talk more about that as well. But like, tell the crowd from the pro golfer's perspective, as somebody going through pre-qualifying, did you sleep the night before? What were the jitters? I mean, obviously it was 3 days full, and your third day was your get me in day. So what was the whole weekend like?
It's funny. Like I'm being honest. Like I know I can be kind of like a smart ass when we do these, and I can kind of soak in the moment. Like, just me being a goofball or whatever, just because that's like my fun and goofy side. But I'm not going to say like I'm at like an all-time high, because I'm not at all with it, just because like it's not like I blew the field out of the water or anything. I mean, I got in one better than the number, but anytime I talk to somebody about like pre-qualifying, I can't help but smile. It was bizarre because, I felt nervous as it got closer to me going up to Georgia. I got a little bit more nervous and a little bit more excited. And when I remember, like, when I got on the first tee, I was nervous warming up. And this was before the first round. Mm-hmm. Like, I felt good about my practice rounds. I didn't play great in the practice rounds, but, I felt I had done my homework on the course itself, and I had a good game plan going into the week. And I remember I got to the first tee, and those nerves just, like, went down a lot. And it was weird because I was nervous, putting and, warming up on the range. But when I got to the first tee, I just remember I stood there on the first tee because I was the last one to tee off. I'm thinking to myself, this is it? Like, that's what I thought. I was like, this is it? And I mean, it does help when you have when you're hitting onto like an airport of a hole. I mean, it's wide open. But I remember the night before, like, I couldn't sleep. And it wasn't because I was nervous. I was just so, like, excited. I was like, oh my gosh, like, this is what I've been, like, working for my whole life. And, I didn't do it last year because I honestly wasn't sure if I wanted to continue playing or not. I don't know if I ever told you that. I had such a bad experience playing in the Dakotas, and things just like weren't going well, and I wasn't sure if I wanted to continue playing. And then a year later to be standing there and just being like, oh, we got this. Like, that's pretty crazy.
Yeah.
Like a year later. And I just thought to myself, like, wow, like, I've come a long way. And the first round I didn't play that great, but I kind of kept myself in it. The second round, it was frustrating because I hit the ball much better, and I scored worse.
Yeah.
And, it's just like some course management decisions, like going long on a back pin or something, like stuff like that you can't do. I remember, like, on my 17th hole of the day, it was hole 8. I had like 210 to a back pin, but with the wind dead into me, it was playing like 220, and I hit like a knockdown 4-iron and hit the back of the green and jumped over, and it went down this hill into a bush. And I'm sitting there, and I'm like kind of thinking to myself, I'm like trying to. Now I obviously can't play the ball, but I'm like, if you do something really stupid here, you're like going home.
Yeah,
you need like a great round tomorrow. And so I took my unplayable, and I hit probably the best chip shot I'd hit all week, which was a bump and run 9-iron through the rough, up a hill. Couldn't even see the bottom of the hole, mind you. Like it went up, like straight up, and then down like this. Best bogey I ever made. Like walked in the 7-footer, and then I hit it to like a foot on number 9 to finish my round. And so I was like, all right, look, kind of figured out the wedges a little bit. I know the things I have to figure out. I have to adjust, not figure out, adjust going into tomorrow. And I was really annoyed at myself because I felt that I hit the ball so well and I had nothing to show for it. And I feel like that was just like a microcosm of my whole year. Like I hit the ball great in the Providence Open, and I had nothing to show for it. Hit the ball great at the New York State Open, I had nothing to show for it. And I said to John Weir and Mike Bender, I was like, I basically have to shoot something in the 60s tomorrow. Like I knew I had to shoot something in the 60s. Mm-hmm. And I went out there and I was pretty jacked up. Like I didn't really sleep. I slept better going into round 2. Round 3, I slept like crap. I slept awful. And I was so jacked up and ready to go. I mean, I made the turn, teed off on hole 10 again. I made the turn at 3 under, which included a 3-putt, by the way. And then from there, like I was just like, we're just like coasting in at this point. And I shot 2 under 68. I got through. +6 was the number. +5 is what I shot. And it was weird. I was like it felt great. Because for me, I felt like, I hate using this term, but I felt like I came up so small so many times, especially this summer.
Yeah.
Whether it was like missing the cut by 1 in Vermont or missing the cut by 2 in New Hampshire, even though I had 11 birdies in the first 2 rounds. Like, or just not making putts when I had to make putts, like having a putt to get into the mid open 4 feet, and I just missed it. Like it felt actually like amazing to go out and like when you have to shoot a good round, like you go out and you perform the way that you're more than capable of performing.
It was really funny because I'll never forget. I'm in the bathroom and I get the text from you. It was after the first round. You were like, "All right, shot. You think it was 3 over?
Yeah,
got to do better tomorrow." And I'm taking a shit, and I see the text, and it's like 4 over. Fuck. And I read it in your voice, and I'm like, he's definitely like punching air right now because he knows he fucked up, but he knows he has to do better tomorrow. And I thought back to when you and I played at Bethpage Yellow, because you had what? I think 8 birdies and an eagle.
Great, yeah.
And you matched it in bogeys. I was like, it's the most bipolar thing. And like you really weren't playing like your best golf, obviously. And it's a microcosm because you were playing at such a bullshit level at that point. Like you didn't really give a shit what you were doing because you were there for fun. And also we had our on-course entertainment with our two partners. But like you were telling me at dinner, you're like, yeah, like I gotta stop like being a dingus at moments. And I'm like, sounds like me when I'm eyeing to break 90 and I do something fucking dumb, like pull out a 60 when I should just bump and run it. Mm-hmm. It's those small things, and that second round text was so fucking funny because I'm like, I'm looking at the leaderboard online. I'm like, shit, he's got to shoot like 3 under to even try and sniff this. And they had the one kid who won the tournament who's like fucking eons ahead of everybody else. And I'm like, this competition must be pretty fucking stiff. I'm like, what was the pre-Q like tournament field like? Because we had mentioned first stage now is basically everybody who has been as high as the Corn Ferry Tour to as low as you starting out. What was the pre-qualifying like in terms of the field gap? Were you nervous at any point, even during that third round, that you were like, even my best game wouldn't be enough?
No, I wasn't, because here's the thing. The number after the first day, if you look at like they were taking top 37 in ties, I believe.
Yeah.
The top 37 in ties was at 2 over. And then top 37 in ties after day 2 was 4 over. So I was like, it's going to be 6 over. It's going to be 6 over. I think last year it was 6 or 7 over. I just said, dude, you shoot 60 iron or better, you're in. Just do it, you know? And I almost made a hole in one on my 17th hole, hit 5 iron back into the wind from like 200. And I kid you not, it almost went in. Like, the guys in my group were like, go in. And I made that putt, and I was like, yeah, we're good. We're good. We're 3 under for the day. We're good.
But you also made bogey on the last, right?
Yeah, it was fine. It was fine. Thanks, but it was fine.
Not to dampen the mood here on that one. Now, so now progressing on to first stage, you got your assignment, what, yesterday or 2 days ago, you told us?
So I got it at, it's so weird. Like, I've had like these highs of just excitement. It's crazy. And I haven't felt that in a long time. And I think it's partly because this is what I've always wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes when you're just playing like mini tour events, it can kind of get like a little bit boring, because it's like, oh, another mini tour event, another crappy golf course, but like this is like the real deal.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, players are always way more excited if it's game 162 and they have to get in the playoffs than for, say, like game 80, like, because it means more, game 162 potentially.
Naturally, yeah.
And I remember I got Saturday night at like 10:48, I think it was, I got an email giving me my site assignment. And I was like, finally, I'd been waiting all day. Like, I'd been checking my email constantly, which I never do. And I was like, what'd I get? And so I got Montgomery, Texas, which was my 5th choice, which I'm totally fine with. Look, man, there's 13 choices. They could have sent me to like California. Okay. Like, I mean,
I don't know, man. California babes versus Texans for a weekend. I don't know what
Dude, women from Texas are beautiful.
They are.
They're gorgeous. I mean, I think, so it's right outside Houston.
It's also hot as Dickens in Texas.
What?
It's also hot as Dickens in Texas.
Well, I'm hot, so it makes sense.
All right, Chief.
Fucking dick. So I got so excited because I was like, oh my God, I finally got my site. Let's go. And I texted Brody. I texted my mom, dad, Allie, you and KB, and Brody, who's my caddy.
Yeah.
And for those of you that don't know, Brody Boston is my former teammate from Presbyterian College. We played together for 2 years. He came in as a transfer junior when I came in as a freshman. Unbelievable human being. I'm so excited to have him on the bag. Like, just a great guy.
Better than me? You don't have to answer that question.
Please don't do that.
No, it's more so me.
Steven, yeah, he is better than you.
It's still me being a salty bastard. I can't be your fucking caddy. Then shut up.
No, but so I was like, awesome. So it's like, so I'm like running around, like I'm like texting him. I'm texting my mom because my mom was still awake. And then I was like, all right, I got to it's in Houston. How far away is this place? So I'm like 14 hours. I'm not driving. So I was like, all right, I got to fly. So I got to look at flights. So I was like, Southwest, boom. And then I found like hotels, Homewood Suites with a kitchen. Got it. And I was like, ooh, then I had to go to Costco and I had to get my Costco travel. Well, I had to go get a new Costco card because I lost it. And
Fine.
I was booking my rental car on Costco Travel or whatever it is. It's so cheap.
Also, I don't know if you know this, and probably so worth it for you. Costco's doing a Southwest like gift card. It's like $400 gift card for like $360. So you save $40, which essentially pays for a spare bag if you can't. Or actually, I think you get what, one bag and your clubs. I think both count. Whatever it is, it's a pretty sweet deal.
You get 2 bags, I think.
Yeah. Okay. So bag and your clubs.
But I was just so excited. And then I just kind of like ran everything by with my dad just to make sure like the financials and everything. Because like it's not cheap. This is not cheap to do.
Oh no,
at all. You know, that's why I'm very fortunate to do what I do, and to be able to have parents that support me, not just like emotionally, but like also financially. It's just the truth. It really is just the truth. And so I just ran some things by him, and he's good with it. And got Brody coming down, and it's going to be a fun time. I'm excited.
Well, I'll tell you this, because I had no idea where Montgomery, Texas was. This golf course is beautiful.
Isn't it?
It's gorgeous. The opening photo that you see. Hold on, I'm going to share my screen here because I'm so like infatuated by this look. It almost reminds me of something that you would find out of like East End of Long Island. It almost feels.
A little bit. Yeah.
That's gorgeous. When I first saw this, you know what it reminded me of? The Cedars Par 3. Like not any specific hole, but like the style and the way the grass looks and the trees. There's something about it.
This is much nicer than the Cedars Par 3.
All right, well, yes, obviously, but I'm just saying, like for what it's worth, but a gorgeous looking golf course for to be heading out there, which is pretty awesome. So many fucking things wrong.
But yeah, no, it's crazy. Just like looking from where I was a year ago, and then even like 4 months ago, the strides I've made, not just professionally, but personally, like forcing getting myself to believe in myself again.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to say I wasn't committed, but committing myself even more to the process of just getting better, you know?
Yeah.
I mean, the last 4 months I've made strides you wouldn't believe. So it's hard to explain it because I'm the one inside my head, you know, no one else is, but I've made some pretty incredible strides the past 4 months for sure.
Well, hey, that's the beauty of golf, isn't it? It's all mental. It's all in your head, and then once you actually succeed, it makes it all the difference. It's like my grandpa used to always say. He goes, "You could shoot 140, but once you make par in the last hole, you always come crawling back."
Oh, 100%. You know,
and that's the great part about it.
I will say one other thing, because I know we want to get into the show. I don't want to bore anybody, but I made an 18-footer for par from the fringe on my third to last hole in the final round. I got excited.
An 18-footer, yeah.
It was a little bit there. You might have had to bleep something out, but yeah.
Was it as exciting as any of the Europeans making any sort of putt this past weekend?
For me, it was because I was doing it. But yeah,
they were fucking treating tap-ins like it's you're fucking winning the tour championship.
Dude, the hole for them was like a bathtub. Like honestly,
it was.
I'm looking. I'm just like, are these guys like going to miss anything? That's like the perfect segue, actually. Like really.
Yes. Well, let's segue. We head back to the grind on the PGA Tour, this Anderson Farm Invitational this week, but we lead the day on the Get in the Hole podcast with the Ryder Cup, the 44th running of the Ryder Cup. Ben Pirro, Steve McAvoy here from the comfort of our living assignments. The 44th Ryder Cup was a lot, to say the very least, and to say that it was the best Ryder Cup, at least from a media perspective, in a long time, I think is an understatement. Dan Rappaport said it best that the Ryder Cup wasn't like monitoring and policing the way people were going about reporting and going about interviewing and on-course assignments, particularly those who were in Marco Simone. And it made it that much better because the media controversy and everything going around it made it 10 times as good. As everybody already knows, the Europeans have reclaimed the Ryder Cup, won 16.5 to 11.5, despite a relatively valiant effort by the USA team in the singles portion. But after the first 2 days, it seemed like it was an absolute runaway train. And no thanks to, and largely in part of, the onslaught between Rory McIlroy, Jon Rahm, and Viktor Hovland, who were responsible for, get this, 10.5 of the 16.5 points that the Europeans put up this week. Not to discredit anybody else who played alongside them, i.e. Tommy Fleetwood, Ludwig Aberg, who was phenomenal, and somebody who I had said was going to be the lone star, like the shadowed player that no one would think of, but played well. Bobby Mack, responsible for 3.5 points. Robert McIntyre, to put this into perspective, was the 24th ranked player in the field. He's the 150-something ranked player in the world. He had more points than everybody on the American side, with the exception of Max Homa, who led the team with 4.5. That goes to show you how strong the European side played. And I think with that being said, let's just jump right into the nitty-gritty here and talk about what actually happened, leading with the idea of where did it go wrong for Team USA? Chug. Where did it go wrong for Team USA? And we're going to discuss the controversies and the heatedness and all these different things that occurred, whether it have been the roster management, the matchups that were actually presented. Now, of course, for those of you who don't know, the Ryder Cup, it isn't like Zach Johnson and Lou Donald are getting together before each match and saying, oh, hey, we're going to match up X, Y, and Z. It's literally you submit who's going out for match 1, 2, 3, 4, and that's it. So you don't know who you're playing against. And as Justin Rose said, winning this tournament is not necessarily about playing with your best friend, but who's going to make you the best player on the course. And that's where we start. And as Ben is rogue for a hot second, I'll kind of lead here. There was a lot of different things that I thought went wrong for Team USA. And I said this in our group chat after Saturday. I was like, is Zach Johnson the worst captain there's ever been? And I really I'm eating my words after saying that because it really isn't true. There have been far bigger deficits to have had to overcome for Team USA. There's also been a much larger margin of loss in history. And there's also have been captains that honestly didn't give a fuck. So that first of all is the first part of this. The second part, though, I think that does fall on Zach Johnson is the idea of matching up certain players. And I think it's also the media's fault because we also kind of hyped this up. The idea that Cantlay and Schauffele have to play together, that JT and Spieth have to play together, when in reality they lost more matches together than they had separated. Scotty Scheffler played horrible with Sam Burns, but they're both best friends. Yet you match up someone like Brooks Koepka and Wyndham Clark, who don't play together, and they went undefeated together. Brian Harmon was the guy who was the hardest to match up with, yet he won most of his events. Like these things, roster management wise, and everyone goes back to the boys club idea, matching up JT and Spieth, matching up Scheffler and Burns, matching up Cantlay and Schauffele, picking Ricky Fowler, people like that. I think there are certain things that went wrong that go beyond the golf course. At the end of the day, everyone sucked. No one played well. And I'm going to get into that point in a hot second. But I think that was the one part of Zach Johnson's play that didn't work out. Otherwise, no one simply played to the level that anybody had hoped them to do. Meanwhile, the European side came out swinging with that course knowledge, with the home field advantage. The fans were ruthless. They were loud. They were proud. And then on top of that, all the controversy around Team USA and what occurred between Joe LaCava with Cantlay's hat, with all these different things that could have fed into something, whether good or bad. But that's the way I viewed this week. And Ben, I'll segue to you.
Yeah. You actually made me really, really, really pissed off on Saturday.
I could tell from your text.
You really made me annoyed. And it's not because I work with Zach Johnson's coach. mean, that has nothing to do with it. Yeah, it really has nothing to do with it. I just felt you don't know who these guys are going up against until it's basically made public. Because then you figure, then you find out essentially through the media, or maybe they find out a little bit before we do, whatever. You can't blame, no one can, anybody that's going to sit there and is going to blame Zach I'm not saying you did these things. I'm just going to span the blame parade, basically. Okay. As I guess I'll call it. I'm sure there are people sitting there bitching and moaning about who he picked for captain's picks. Well, newsflash for people, 5 of the 6 guys that he picked were like right there for being like automatic selections. Okay. And that's normal to pick guys that are like on the cusp of being like one of the top 6 automatic selections. The only wild card was Justin Thomas. And the Ryder Cup has a history of there being like one wild card, really, for each team, maybe even 2. I'd say for Europe, it was more like probably Ludwig Ebert. I think
easily,
yeah. He was probably more the wild card because it's like, dude doesn't even. I don't think he's played in a major, has he?
No, he's played only 4 career events as a card holder.
Exactly. So.
And he kicked their asses.
Exactly. So it's like, I remember like I'm sitting there and, some dude on the golf channel, he's like, I don't know. I mean, it's a pressure unlike any other. And I'm just like, again, we have 1 pick per team every single Ryder Cup. That's like a wild card. I thought JT played okay. He didn't suck. Okay. So he kind of held his own considering where he was this whole past year on the PGA Tour. That's the first thing. So you cannot blame Zach for that at all. One of the things that really made me annoyed was people getting on him about who he was pairing together for like the 4-ball days.
Yeah.
Well, how much say does Zach really have in that if you think about it? Because guys go in there with their own opinion as to what they should do.
Yeah.
And it's really hard to sit there and say, yeah, I'm going to just to look at 2 best friends, like say Jordan and Justin Thomas and be like, yeah, no, I'm going to split you 2 guys up, even though they really want to play together. Because then if they don't play together, then that means that they're playing with someone that they don't really want to play with. And how's that supposed to make that other person feel then? Well, he doesn't really want to play with me, so what's the point? So you can't really blame that on Zach when players are probably forcing their opinions on him. And trust me, I've done team competitions before, and look, man, I have tried to be a good teammate and say, yeah, believe it or not. Yeah, believe it or not. Don't give me that look. Okay.
Not.
I remember saying, you can pair me with anybody. It's fine. I can do it. And I remember I sat there and my partner put me in the worst possible spots ever. And I could put him in the middle of the fairway. I remember his alternate shot. He would put me in the trees. He would put me in fairway bunkers. I couldn't do anything. I'd put him in the fairway and he couldn't do anything. Mm-hmm. So trust me, players having opinions like that, whether it's saying I can play with anybody or you have to put me with this person, those carry a ton of weight. And you really have to say to the guys, I don't really care about your opinions.
Yeah.
I'm going to put you with who's best suited for your game. I'd say that's probably the only area where Zach went wrong. And really, this is all just speculation. Okay, we're just kind of speculating what was going on.
And also, though, and this is not even playing devil's advocate, but it's the idea that had he even not paired someone like JT and Spieth or a Scheffler and Burns, the second he doesn't do that, especially on the opening round, like the very first set, everyone's going to say, why the hell did you not match those 2 up?
Exactly. That's the thing. That's the thing. Wait, I'm sorry to cut you off, but that's the thing. Because then it's like, oh my gosh, like, are they not friends anymore? Like, oh my gosh, I didn't have to answer questions. Like, are Jordan and Justin okay? Like, is Jordan going to be the best man at your wedding? Like, oh my God. And then it's just like, it's like a shit show.
Yeah.
And
it's only bringing more.
If you break them up and then they lose, then it's even worse.
Yeah. So, and it's only bringing more attention onto you. Like, and I said this even on day one. I'm like, being a Ryder Cup captain must fucking suck. Like you have, it's literally every single thing you do is a double-edged sword because someone's going to come after you for something. And look, again, Justin Thomas, and I got a text from my friend after Friday. He said, you're going to eat your words about JT. He wound up losing the next 2 days. But even then, though, like, I realized that prior play over the past year or so does not necessarily matter towards match play. It's a very different style game. I realized that you're right. Zach Johnson could have very well said, hey, I don't care about your opinion. And it's exactly what Luke Donald did. He didn't care about the opinions of some players. Also, though, to retract that, the Europeans were also a lot more willing to play across every single player if they had to make things work. I don't think if there was a opinion in John Rahm, he would have probably said, no, I don't want to play with Nikolai Hilgard. Like, but again, you do it for your country. And I think that's the biggest point of where things went wrong for Team USA. I think that there's a lot of things that are bigger than golf and bigger than playing for your country. And I equated it to the Olympics with basketball players. LeBron James doesn't want to go play in the Olympics. Why? He wanted to when he was 23 years old and he was healthy and he was enjoying himself. Now he's 37 years old. He's trying to focus on longevity and focus on his game and training for the NBA and not going to play a tournament somewhere overseas, more than likely over 10,000 miles away, or for the most part, albeit now it's getting better, the competition for the last 20 years has been terrible. You've had 2 or 3 guys on a roster that you've been playing against, and it's like the dream team versus everybody else. LeBron James doesn't want to go. The other reason why is because he doesn't get paid. I think the controversy between Xander Schauffele and Patrick Cantlay, and the report came out even today, that Xander Schauffele was almost kicked off the team because his dad was corresponding with Zach Johnson saying, if he doesn't get paid, he's not playing. And to me, I'm like, suck it up. The European team, I noticed this immediately in both the post-tournament press conference and then also all the media that was being posted from Twitter and Instagram. Those guys, you could have told them that we're not going to pay you a cent. You have to pay for your lodging to get here, to play. You got to pay the greens fees. They would have done it.
Oh, I would have, but okay.
No, but I'm over-exaggerating, of course. But these guys are playing a lot more for their country, and I think, and Jason Sobel said it really well today, I think the Europeans, it's kind of more ingrained in you that you play that, like, when you talk about what are the best tournaments in golf, the Americans are the first one to say the majors. The Europeans always latch in the Ryder Cup. I think that kind of makes a bit of a difference between Patrick Cantlay and Schauffele, particularly. The idea of wanting to get paid and the idea of not wearing a Team USA hat, which very clearly was out of protest. The idea of him saying, "Oh, I didn't wear it because it didn't fit." Sir, you got fitted probably 2 months ago for all of your gear. Believe me, it probably fit. It was most certainly a protest for not getting paid. Whether or not they start paying guys for the Ryder Cup is besides the point. I just didn't think there was enough pride as a team rather than there was individualistic pride, which I think makes a big difference. Guys weren't playing for their teammates, but you clearly saw it with like a Rory and a Fleetwood or even a Shane Lowry, someone who hasn't played particularly great golf over the last year, was playing was talking and communicating with his teammate. Hey, where should I place this ball? Where's the best spot for you to play? How do you want to approach these things? They were a lot more communicative. I think the USA team wasn't. And I think all the controversy around Team USA and the getting paid and the quote unquote fractured locker room, whether or not it was true or not, and Jimmy Weir could have been a total a-hole for making up a total story to try and edge the European side on, is besides the point. I just think there's a lot more of external factors that are leading to USA's downfall than we're making it out today.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think it's ridiculous that they're not getting paid. You should be getting paid to go do this thing. Okay, that's just my opinion. I think that's more of just like let me put it this way. If it's true that, like what you're saying, where it's like, the Americans, it's more, it's like I think it's like a difference in culture, basically.
Yeah. No, exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I think it's more of a difference in culture at this point.
But the culture feeds to the idea that the Europeans would play and take the shirt off their back to try and win the Ryder Cup. It's a dream of European players. I don't think it's the same for Americans.
No, I don't think it is either. I think some Americans do dream about it.
Of course.
But to be honest, I can't. Look, I don't love the protest of taking your hat off or, not wearing the hat. I don't love that. That's just, I guess, like the American in me, Yeah. I mean, the thing is, let me put it this way. I think it's a legitimate gripe that they're mad that they didn't get paid.
Fine.
But you knew you weren't getting paid.
Yeah, put no. Put your shit aside.
Let me put it this way: if someone said to me, they're like, Ben, you can play. We want you to play on the Ryder Cup team, but we're not going to pay you. I would sit there and I'd be like, well, I played it 2 years ago, and that was in Europe. All right, I'll play this one in U.S. soil, and then when the next one rolls around, that way I get the feel for both sides. And then after that, if they're not going to pay me, I'm just going to be like, screw it. No thanks. That's probably what I would do.
Yeah.
I think it's good to have the experience of it. Experience being the away team, the visitors.
Yeah, of course.
And also experiencing it on your own soil and you being cheered for in every shot. But I think it's a difference in culture. As far as the payment thing goes, I think it's a difference in culture. Going to the locker room drama, I think that's all crap. Okay, I do. I really do. Look, golf is an individual sport. I've said it before, and I'll say it again. At least I think I've said it before. I've said it to many people. Trust me, the college golfer in me. People don't understand how many times I said this to my teammates. Like, guys, golf is an individual sport. Like, we're not actually like a real team here. I don't believe that the locker room was fractured. Perhaps there are guys that might not gel well with one another.
Yeah.
They're all adults. So I would think that they would be able to push egos aside for, 4 days?
Yeah.
And just whatever drama exists, just push it away. I mean, we had Homa, Ricky, Brooks, and who are the other two guys in that picture that you sent of Brooks saying, I make money moves?
It was Xander and
Kelly? Was it Kelly?
Might have been. Let me find it. But yeah, at the end of the day, what you're saying makes absolute sense. Oh, here it was. It was Burns.
Okay, but just hear me out on this.
Yeah.
Brooks went to LIV. Okay, already happened. Signed a big fat contract, whatever. Homa, very outspoken, basically saying, I will never go to LIV. You'd have to pay me $2 billion. That's literally what he said. Ricky, it was kind of on the fence. You don't know what he's going to do. Is he going to go? Is he not going to go? It was pretty 50-50 there for a while. I think that's safe to say.
Yeah.
As far as that's what the speculation led us to believe. And then the other two, it was pretty safe to say they weren't going to go.
Yeah.
So you have a guy that went, a guy that said absolutely not, two guys where we don't know where they stand, and then one guy that was kind of 50-50. They all looked perfectly fine to me after they got their butts kicked in the Ryder Cup. So I sat there and I was like, I don't think that there's any type of drama.
And you know what? I think
I think they're just frustrated with how they play. That's because they're like, they go all the way to Italy, they're not getting paid, and then they're getting their ass kicked. I wouldn't be happy either.
Which I think you're totally right. I think it's more they were disgruntled because, first of all, when you go down and you get swept in the first 4 matches of the day, naturally the morale is going to be low already. Like, oh shit, we threw out who we thought were the best players and we got shafted. Now, granted, look, and again, this goes back to the whole thing with Zach's management. Was it smart to sit Koepka for the first half of the day? Probably not. Was it smart to sit JT and Spieth in the second half of the day? Probably not, because they play their best in a team format. There were a couple of those moves that I think mattered, but at the end of the day, when you're down by so much early, you're going to be so disgruntled. Naturally, there's going to be issues within the locker room. Not even whether it be player to player, but just like everyone's fucking frustrated. Like people don't want to deal with this shit. Not to mention, and Michael Collins said, like, oh, wait till Bethpage, the New York fans are ruthless. Have you met European fucking football fans? Put them on a golf course, they get even worse. They're like, I love the British. I've been to Britain. It's a gorgeous place. The people, though, especially at sporting events, are the most ruthless fucking people. They make people from Philadelphia and New York look like grade school children. It's scary. Like, no one wants to get fucked around with those guys yelling at you in the stands, and you're down fucking 8 points in the second day of the Ryder Cup. So naturally, I get it. Everyone's pissed off.
One last thing, because I think we have – this seems like a transition. I just want to throw one more thing in there. You know do you remember when Kevin Cash took out Blake Snell in the World Series? Do you remember that?
And everyone flipped out.
And everyone freaked out, right? What if Kevin Cash, he took him out or whatever, takes out Blake Snell, and they win that game? Kevin Cash is like the biggest genius ever, right?
Yeah.
We always get on captains, head coaches, managers when they're not successful.
Yeah.
But if they are successful, they're geniuses. There's nothing in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
We need to stop that and understand, A, these picks are very difficult, and B, I think one of the reasons I feel like they might have sat Brooks is because his overall health. He's had, physical health related issues in recent years. I think that might have had something to do with that. I don't know about the other one with Brooks and Jordan. That's a different thing. But I'm just saying, if those moves had worked and they had won those matches or whatever, he'd be hailed as a genius.
Exactly.
Let's relax and cut the guys some slack. Like today, I'm just saying, I was at Bender's Academy, and one of the students was like, "What'd you think of the captain's choices?" I just didn't say anything. I was like, I didn't watch. That's all I said. I was like, I didn't watch. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, like, again, like people don't understand. It's either you're a genius or you're viewed as like
a dumbass.
But yeah, exactly. And it's incredibly unfair.
Yeah.
Incredibly unfair.
I heard a great quote from Lou Holtz recently, and it was talking about when he was the head coach at Notre Dame back in the 80s. This was like a graduation speech like he gave at a college. He was like, yeah, when I was the coach at Notre Dame back in the 80s, like we were the number one team in the country. We had won national championships. We were like, oh, let's just maintain how good we are. Let's not try and get better. And he goes, like, at the end of the day, we finished second, and everyone called me a moron. And I'm like, well, that's kind of unfair because the last guy who finishes medical school is still called doctor. Like, at the end of the day, again, no matter what, Dad Johnson's going to get shit on. And whether or not you can debate all you want, Bryson should have been there. Dustin should have been there. Ricky Fowler didn't score a point. Why was he there? First of all, he won a tournament and had 4 months where he was a top 10 golfer in the world, A. B, oh, why is Brooks there? Should have been fully PGA. No, shut up. He put up more. He put up better performances in 3 weeks than most guys did the whole year. You could have thrown in Keegan Bradley, Lucas Glover, Cameron Young. You could have thrown in literally any single person into the pot. Would they have made this team any better? Probably not. Not to mention also on top of that, there was a alleged sickness going around, like you were saying, with like Koepka and Ricky, which is also probably why Ricky didn't win anything. Didn't play good because he probably wasn't feeling good. And it might have been for the whole locker room for all we know. I hated the controversy of the guys on LIV should have been there. Do we realize, and like put this into perspective for those like LIV sympathizers? they're playing on courses that aren't even PGA certified. Like, they're not playing premier golf courses where every single week you're playing insane slope ratings and like the whole the jargon behind what deems a course ready for the PGA Tour standards from the USGA or the PGA of America, whatever it happens to be. They're not playing very challenging golf courses. You go to Trump Doral in Miami,
Doral.
like, it's a fucking resort golf course. It's what the guys play in the first 2 weeks of the year in Hawaii because they're trying to. Those events are literally the widest fairways, getting guys ready. Bryson DeChambeau is a good golfer. Don't get me wrong, but I don't think putting Bryson on any team, not to mention no one really likes him to begin with, is going to make this team any better. Although, however, the only thing I will say is you put Keegan Bradley on this team, he's probably fighting Rory McIlroy on the 18th green aside Joe LaCava. That's almost certainly going to happen. Now, like, good thing or bad thing, fine. You could debate it again all you want. But also really fast, just to kind of get your thoughts here. What was your opinion on this Rory Joe LaCava drama? What happened afterwards? I'm pretty sure if I read his lips right, he was like, "Oh, like what you did and what you guys are doing is a fucking disgrace." As what Rory was saying to, I think it was to Bones after the fact. What did you make of these controversies? And again, whether or not they played in, Cantlay's hat gate was kind of good for the moment when he drained that putt and everyone's like waving the hat, like screw you guys. But all this drama, which again was great for us, but bad for the players. What was your opinion on anything about it this weekend?
It's just two men that acted like children. I think that's the best way to put it. I just think that, number one, you play with distraction. Number one, what Joey LaCava was doing was ridiculous. He's got to get out of Rory's way. Okay? When a player is doing his routine, is reading a putt, is taking practice strokes, there is no reason for another player or a caddy or whatever to be moving at all.
Yeah.
There's no reason. In fact, it happened to me at Q School. I played with this guy, and it was raining the first round, and he has this thing that he put over his clubs to keep them dry, but it opens in the middle so he can pull them out. And he's just I'm over the ball, and I just hear he's moving it, and I didn't say anything. I looked at him. I just looked up, and I just looked at him, and he just looked at me. He's like, "Oh, I'm sorry," and I was like, I didn't say a word. That's really all you have to do, regardless. But that should not have been happening. And number two, from Rory's perspective, this is just another instance of Rory McIlroy lacking maturity. And I think every person to some degree can lack maturity in a certain way.
Yeah.
There are things that piss me off that might not piss you off, and there are things that piss you off that might not piss me off. And then we all have our different ways of dealing with it, okay? But the shots at LIV, the continual shots at LIV, mind you, I mean, constant. And then, bitching about the PGA Tour merger. I mean, this guy has a track record dating back for the past roughly year and a half where he just looks like a brat. And for him to cause a public scene off the course.
In front of his wife.
Yeah, I know.
Grow up, please.
I know.
Compose yourself.
I mean, you want to talk about just I think isn't he president of the Players Association for the PGA Tour?
I think so.
That's great.
He's on the board.
Hey, that's really what we want. Who we want as the face of our tour, a guy who's saying it's a fucking disgrace because someone pissed him off. Everybody pisses him off at the end of the day. I think everybody does.
Himself off.
He's overly emotional. He puts his energy towards the wrong things, which I've said before, and I'll say it again. Dude's got to grow up. Honestly, he's got to grow up.
Ben, I have one last thing for you before we cut to break. Speaking of our friend Rory McIlroy. Now, I will be at the Ryder Cup in 2025. I'm sure you will probably try and make your way if you aren't already on the KFT and you aren't busy that weekend.
I'm gonna be playing in the Ryder Cup, but thank you.
There you go. Rory McIlroy in the post-game presser said the following. I said this for the last probably 6 or 7 years to anyone that will listen. The biggest accomplishment in golf right now is winning an away Ryder Cup, and that's what we're going to do at Bethpage. Now, I totally understand that the European side is only going to get better considering Victor Hovland's 25. Rahm is still in the prime of his career. Ludwig Aberg's 22 years old. Like, there's a lot of really good, talented players on this European side, and there's only going to be more coming up in the pipeline. Kind of pissed me off that he said that so prematurely when just think about the cast of characters now that are even coming up on the PGA Tour that very well might be getting the nod for the American side when it rolls around. What do you think of the comment?
Am I wrong to say, I'm sorry that this is a little bit off topic. Am I wrong to say that Rory has a little bit of Sergio in him?
Oh, 100%.
Gets
100%.
Gets emotional and then he says stupid stuff.
He's churlish, honestly, amongst all things.
Yeah, what I'm saying though, like comparison, that makes sense, doesn't it?
Yes.
I think, first of all, we have to find that in a tweet and we have to save it, okay? Because they're not winning at Bethpage Black.
Oh, I tweeted it. I tweeted it this morning. It's on the record.
I got it. Look, I don't like it. That's like saying, when NFL teams show up and then, or like, the coach makes a claim saying that they're going to the Super Bowl. It's like, or they're going to win the Super Bowl. And it's like, they're just like a circus of an organization, like the Jets. Like, it's.
Hey, Zach Wilson played pretty damn good last night.
Yeah, not good enough. Anyway. Blame
it on the refs.
I gotta be honest. It's not surprising. I think, again, he's a child. I think he gets overly emotional, whether it's he's happy or sad or upset. It's like multiplied when it happens. You do realize that quote is going to get played
so much,
especially in the lead up to that next Ryder Cup. You don't think those New York fans are going to be just chomping at the bit to get after Rory? Oh my God, they're going to be all up in his kitchen.
Don't forget, and I think this is the most important thing, and the speculation's already kind of out. I don't know if he's willing to do it quite yet. But if it comes to it, and it's 2025, first of all, the New York fans are brutal. Maybe not as bad as the Europeans, but they will get all over Rory McIlroy. If Tiger Woods is the captain of this team in 2025.
Oh, I think he will be, actually. I think he will.
That will be a show. Because I'm telling you right now, I don't care. And there was a stark difference, in my opinion, between Steve Stricker's team versus Zach Johnson's. Tiger Woods is not going to fuck around. They're going to show up, they're going to shut up, and they're going to win. There's he doesn't. You want to talk like how Michael Jordan, like one guy says one thing, like it scuffs his sneaker and he'll drop an 80 bomb on you. That's Tiger Woods.
Yeah. Don't
get him going early. And I'm telling you, if Rory McIlroy says a word after day one, if they happen to be up, no, Tiger's gonna be on your ass.
No,
he's not playing, but he will get everyone loaded up.
Trust me.
It'll be emotional.
They will be.
They'll be ready.
They'll be ready for sure. Did I say that right, by the way? Chomping at the bit. Is that what it?
Very good.
That's the prop. Oh, let's go.
I
thought of that at the top of my head. I was so happy for myself.
We're going to take a quick short break. On the other side, reviewing the next event in the fall swing. The Creature Crown comes to a point. The Sanderson's Farm Invitational or Championship, whatever the fuck it's called. We're going to talk about it right here on Get in the Hole. Don't go anywhere, folks. Welcome back, folks. It's Get in the Hole here with Ben and Steve. Quick thing before we jump into the Sanderson's Farm Championship. Great news from the Asian Games this week. The team, the Korean national team won by 17 strokes in the team portion. And Sunjae Im was responsible for, I think, like 8 of them on his own in terms of the match play, like standard. Sunjae Im and Siwoo Kim, I had mentioned this on Twitter, a life-altering weekend for them. Had they not placed gold, would have had to serve a 2-year mandatory military service based on the Korean government. They now get to avoid that due to a clause where those with exceptional abilities, whether it be in education, arts, sport, are able to extend until they're 30 rather than 28, which is the typical window for the average Korean. And with the caveat, if you can place gold in the Olympics or in the Asian Games, which I found out recently as of last year. So the Asian Games was supposed to be last year. Due to COVID, they moved it. This was the first year they allowed golf. So typically it was only every 4 years you had the chance. Then with this, it was, okay, if you don't do it at the Asian Games, you can do it at the Olympics. But it's a much stiffer competition because obviously in Asia, you're only playing against guys within Asia. And there's no Europeans, and obviously the Asian game, while very strong, does not have the amount of skill set as a Olympic field would, where you would be up against guys like a John Rahm or a Xander Schauffele, for example. So yeah, they won by 17 strokes. Sunjae and Siwoo get to avoid their mandatory military service. Tom Kim was not on the roster; he is too young to qualify, but he'll be in probably next go around in 2 years. So congratulations to Sunjae and Siwoo. Really happy to have them back on the tour. Golf claps to them. We've seen a lot of Korean golfers in the past, unfortunately, have to serve their military sentence, and the result has been a not tumultuous rest of their career, but not one that has shown a lot of really high prominence. I believe, I forget exactly. I think it might be Sang-moon Bae. Had to serve, went through his 30s, didn't really have a very good push back to the top. Has kind of been fluctuating in the late hundreds of the official World Golf rankings. But unfortunately for him, just simply didn't work out. But for Sunjae and Siwoo, gets to go on their record. They will not serve in the military, and they will be giving us some high-quality golf for years and years to come. So congrats to them.
I'm so
back on the grind.
Real quick.
Yes.
I am so happy for them. I mean, that is incredible. I just want to say that is an incredible accomplishment by those two. It's, obviously, yes, I learned this a long time ago. It's mandatory, and it's I believe you said it's 2 years that they'd have to serve in the military.
Yeah.
And just looking at it from the side of a professional athlete, that is incredibly difficult because that's 2 years away from the prime of your career, right?
Exactly.
And for them to do what they did, I mean, that is high pressure for sure. And not only did they win, I mean, they
manhandled them.
Ass. I mean, that is incredible. Good for them. I mean, and 2 immensely talented players on the PGA Tour. I mean, kind of surprising that they don't have any majors actually between the 2 of them, if you think about it. I didn't realize that. So
well, Siwoo does have a Players Championship, which again, not a major, but certainly a high honor for someone like that.
No, for sure. But I guess what I'm saying is, it's like, I think the fact that this happened for them, it gives them a much greater chance at getting a major now, because 100%. They're not taking 2 years off of golf. Yeah. Congratulations to those 2 guys. Like, that's an incredible achievement. That really is. I didn't think it was getting enough publicity at all, and I thought it was great that you tweeted about it. Great job.
No, easily. It's honestly a shame that we hyped the Ryder Cup up so much that this literally found its way to like the B section of Golf Channel's daily show every day. Mm-hmm. Like this, and I think Kyle Porter said it. The biggest tournament of the year was not in Italy; it was actually in China, and I'm just so happy for the both of them that they managed to get over the hump and get past this. Because again, if this wasn't a thing for them, the Olympic field is so challenging to begin with. I believe they've placed, I think, bronze or silver, I think, every single year for the most part when they are both involved. It's like it's just so stiff, and it's challenging to even get over the hump.
It's so
against even the mid-tier guys.
It is so hard. I mean, and I knew a kid from Korea. He's also a golfer. I knew him back in high school. An immensely talented golfer. And that was like that. And I remember hearing a coach say, he was like, he's got to win. He's got to win gold in the not the Korean Games, the Asian Games. If he doesn't, then he has to serve 2 years in the military. I was blown away. I was like, oh my gosh, like
it's crazy.
That is immense pressure. That's immense pressure. So good for them.
Transition. The Sanderson Farm Championship, the second event of the fall swing in kind of the no man's land of golf. However, we're here to cover it because we love this kind of event. We're going to Mississippi this week, the only event on tour in Mississippi. If you want a look into the golf course, nothing has changed. You can go check out our previous episode from the Sanderson Farm where I personally break down a whole course review, give you a whole breakdown, grass, all the info that you need. Question is who's teeing it up this week? We have a couple of guys who are entering the fray fresh off a Ryder Cup victory, Ludwig Aberg and Nikolai Hogard, as well as a handful of Americans getting involved. I love these events, and I said this during our beer money prep. You can find guys who are like lower tiered golfers that like you don't usually see. This was an alternate event for a long time. It then got its own standalone in the fall swing. So who's teeing it up this week? A couple of names that I'm looking out for. Of course, Aberg and Hogard are jumping quickly back into the fray. Ludwig Aberg actually the odds leader this week at 11-1 to win the event. Would be amazing to get it his first win. Our best friend Akshay Bhatia is in this week. Sam Bennett, Ryder Cup snub, quote unquote. Lucas Glover will be in the field. Kevin Kisner, 2018 champions Cameron Champ, and Webb Simpson are a few of the names that I'm looking out for. A couple of things of note for the Sanderson Farm that I wanted to just point out for those of you who are curious as a basis for our beer money as we get into it in about 10 seconds. What does it take to win here? Of course, stroke gain approach is vitally important. Stroke gain off the tee is a huge part of this course here. It's kind of a brute, about 7,400 yards in total length. Driving distance is huge. It's why Cameron Champ won here despite a relatively shaky game everywhere else. And the par fives are going to be super big this week. Putting on Bermuda grass, those are two of the factors I'm looking out for the most. Effectiveness on par fives and your ability to putt on those Bermuda greens. KB, do you have anything to add before you jump in? Who's teeing it up? The course conditions, anything? You can say no.
You just called me KB.
Fuck. Wow, it's been an hour and I did that. I'm sorry. You know what?
Dude, I say stuff and I'm just like, wait, no, that didn't come out right. Let me try again. It's for a fall kind of season event. I think it's a relatively strong field. Guys like Sam Ryder, Mackenzie Hughes are playing. Doug Gim, that kid's a stud. He's playing. Our good friend Akshay Bhatia, please come on the show. He's playing. KB's favorite. I think KB likes this guy, Christian Bezatenhout.
Bezatenhout.
That KB likes that guy, right?
Yes,
I think so. Yeah. Sam Bennett's playing. CT fan. Cheston Hadley's playing. Trey Mullinax. So we have a lot of good names, guys that are veterans, guys that are younger, that have been guys that are veterans, guys that are younger that are playing in this event. It's going to be a very, very good tournament.
Let's jump right into it, folks. Beer money time brought to you by our friends over at Kenwood Beer, Philadelphia's #1 light beer. Check them out on kenwoodbeer.com. Find the candy tracker. Now available in the great state of New Jersey. Not really a great state, but I have to say it because it's in the ad read.
I don't think it is either.
Unfortunately, I'm forced to say it in the ad read, so I apologize. Top 20 finish this week at the Sanderson Farm. The hunt for the chicken. Who wants it?
Oh, am I going first?
Yes.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay.
You usually start.
Oh, I do? Yeah, it's been a while since we did really one of these like this. Top 20, I'm going to go with Kevin Streelman. Everybody knows I'm a big fan of Kevin. He's got a beautiful swing. He models it after Ben Hogan. He is a seasoned vet on the PGA Tour. I mean, every time I turn on the TV and I watch golf, which isn't a lot, but when I do, I see Kevin Streelman on there, and his hair is looking grayer and grayer and grayer. So, guy's got a lot of experience. He's got a lot of game. Kevin Streelman, top 20 finish.
My top 20, a controversial pick, I will admit.
You were talking about this earlier.
Yes. He won on the Korn Ferry Tour 3 weeks ago. He does not have a card right now. He's looking to get it back. Has actually been in really good form despite my absolute loathing of him. I'm taking Grayson Murray this week.
No, you're not. Are you really?
I'm actually totally serious.
It's only controversial because you guys made it controversial with Chris.
For the sole reason that I ate wet ass in my Ryder Cup picks, I need to get back on the horse. And unfortunately, he's the name that pops up under the algorithm for a good finish. He won in the KFT 3 weeks ago. I think the following week, though, he withdrew from an event because he started his first 4 holes at 4 over. Like, he's the ultimate like hot or not player, but when he is hot, he's actually kind of like decent, particularly as a putter. And his best putting numbers are actually on Bermuda Green, so that's why I'm pulling for him here. Also at a really strong number at 11-1, so I'll play it. Top 10.
Top 10. This is a guy that I've been pretty bullish on. This guy really making some noise. He has not won yet in the PGA Tour. I believe that win is coming soon. Not this week, but I'm going to go with Sam Ryder for a top 10 pick. He used to practice at the same course as me down here. He has no idea who I am, but I know who he is because everybody knew who Sam Ryder was. But yeah, really good golf swing, really good action through the ball, by the way. And he's become a seasoned vet, has never been in danger of losing his card from what I can remember. I mean, just a solid tour player.
My favorite tweet from the post Ryder Cup era was Jason Sobel, who tweeted out earlier this morning, just so you guys know, in case you were thinking about him a lot during the past weekend for some reason, Sam Ryder opens at 45-1 for this week's Sanderson Farm. I'm jumping on him too for a top 10. He's plus 450. All the reasons, like you said, on top of the fact that his approach game is actually one of the better ones in the field. Plus, he's a really good putter. So play it.
That's such a random tweet by Jason Sobel.
Well, it was more of a joke.
Oh,
but it was a joke, but I appreciate it. Top 5.
It's hard for me to read between the lines on those things. I don't know what that was, but okay.
How about these lines? Read between those lines. There you go.
Why are you giving me the finger?
I love you.
Anything wrong?
I love
I'm
you.
actually a good guy in this episode.
You are. You know, I'm very impressed. Who's your top 5 pick, please?
Oh my God, you're so mean to me.
I have protein ice cream waiting in the fridge.
I just had dark chocolate covered pretzels that were frozen. I can't eat more chocolate.
Well,
I'm going to top 5. I'm going to go with someone who is honestly a little bit under the radar. Bo Hostler. I think he's a solid pick. I think this is a really good event for him to kind of start his season. I'm not sure if he played in the Fortinet or not, but it's essentially the second event of the season. Fall season. So I think it'll be a good week for him. I'm going to go top 5 for Bo Hostler.
My pick for a top 5, he's plus 450, just like Sam Ryder for a top 10. But he's in it for a top 5. He's 62nd right now in the official World Golf Rankings. Again, kind of flies like under the radar, was good when he was younger. And I guess just kind of like with age, didn't necessarily like age like fine wine. Although now he's actually back to the best spot he's ever been in his career. He's one of the top players for the odds board this week, but at 450, I like Eric Cole, the 35-year-old, to show out this week, to a good event, an event that seems to be something that he's used to. He loves playing golf down here in the Southeast. After all, went to Nova Southeastern. He comes from around the area, so makes sense for me to pick him here. Our gimme pick of the week. Who are you taking?
Just so you know, Nova Southeastern.
In Florida.
Yeah, that's not close to Mississippi, but okay.
No, but like the relative area of the Southeast.
Yeah, it's all relative. All right. Anyway, my gimme pick. My gimme pick for the week. I had a hard time with this one. I'm gonna go with CT Pan to make the cut. CT Pan to make the cut. It's a random pick. I never really know what to do for those. So, yeah,
I understand. I'm gonna do. I like Ben Griffin this week. I've liked him a lot ever since he got his tour card. I don't know what it is. I think it was a video the PGA Tour put out that kind of just like got me infatuated with this game. I like him for a top 20 this week at 225. It's a pretty decent number for his game. I'll also throw a couple out there for the listeners if you're interested in hearing me yap. Akshay Bhatia for a top 30 is plus 115. I also was checking out a parlay matching up former winners. Cameron Champ and Mackenzie Hughes, both top 40, is plus 300. So again, it's a pretty decent number on two guys there. Your winning pick at the Sanderson Farm. Who's going to hoist the chicken?
I got to be honest, man. I'm going to go with Akshay Bhatia. I think it's criminal. I'm looking at this right now. According to CBS, he's 50-1 odds, which I think is ludicrous.
It's wild.
I think that's ridiculous. I know, no free ads. Sorry, but
that's
crazy. I mean, how could you not pick him? I mean, this kid's a stud. We want him on the podcast. Come on, Akshay, you got this week, dude. You got this. You are he's going to be. You know what? I'm going to make a prediction right now.
Oh,
he's going to be on the President's Cup.
I could see it.
You know, I think so. No, I know so because that's my prediction. But yeah, he's going to win this week. Akshay Bhatia.
So, where is he on this list? I want to just make sure that I'm saying this right before I jump to any sort of conclusions. Okay, so I think Akshay is a great play. However, there's one guy who I think stands out a little bit more, and it's the guy at the very top of the board. Ludwig Aberg last week, to kind of put into perspective how good he played. He only has 4 PGA Tour events as a full card-holding member of this tour. He had 2 points. He went 2-2. If you put that into perspective, he tied Patrick Cantlay and Brian Harmon for second on the USA team in points. It isn't an exact science, but Data Golf put out his numbers this past week, and he had a better strokes gained total than everyone on the USA team minus Max Homa, Xander Schauffele, and Justin Thomas. He was also 4th on the European team in strokes gained total. I'm taking Ludwig Aberg at 11-1 to win his first PGA Tour event. This is going to be the year of Ludwig, and I cannot wait for him come the spring. A win this week puts him in the Century Tournament Champions, and I am looking forward to seeing him in January at Kapalua, which, by the way, despite the wildfires in Maui, they will, in fact, be hosting the event. So, a little fun tidbit. Ludwig Aberg, 11-1. Go from the Ryder Cup, win your first event. It's a pretty damn good 2 weeks. Final thoughts, Benjamin.
Don't call me that,
Ben.
Now you're just poking the bear. And
all right, Ben. Any final thoughts before you're going?
Want to poke the bear. Anyway, I like your pick. I was going to pick him, but I was just a little bit concerned about the jet lag. That's really what I was concerned about. It's pretty quick. I know he's young and he doesn't really know any better. You know, as I guess older people say about us, we don't really know any better, but whatever. But that I will say that is a real thing. But hey, I mean, the guy's a solid player, and I think today was a great episode. Despite Steven giving me the middle finger and making fun of me towards the end, even though I was being a very, very nice co-host. I don't really like that. So if you guys want, please get after him in the comments. Let him know how disrespectful and hurtful that was. That really helped. Other than that, I'm so excited for first stage. It's in 3 weeks. I can't wait. So nice of Steven to give me my flowers today. I did not know. For those of you watching or listening, I had no idea that was coming. So that really made me very happy. So thank you for that, Steven. I didn't say thank you before. At least I don't remember saying it. So thank you. That was very, very nice of you. Other than that, that's pretty much it. I will see you guys next week.
Live reaction for my final thought. Go check out the updated Instagram bio for our podcast. I think you'll really appreciate it. My one final thought this week, aside from Ben checking this right now, just want to update you all. Like, subscribe, follow the Get in the Hole podcast. Like us on Spotify. Like us on YouTube. Follow us on literally everything. You know the socials at this point. This has been episode 124. A great review from the Ryder Cup and the Sanderson Farm Championship this week. Looking forward to the rest of the fall swing. Check us out on everything. And folks, Ben, that live reaction?
First of all, I'm the one with the big biceps and I'm the pro golfer, so you don't have any room.
That's the joke, you dingus. We'll see you all next. Thanks for listening to Get in the Hole, the official golf podcast of Underground Sports Philadelphia. Catch us every week wherever you get your favorite podcasts, and be sure to like and subscribe on Apple, Spotify, and YouTube. You can follow us on Twitter and Instagram at Get in the Hole Pod, and follow Underground Sports Philadelphia at Underground PHI. We'll see you next time. And remember, get in the hole!